First contact fumble. Dr. Alexandra Alex Chen squinted at the peculiar artifact resting on her lab table. The iridescent object, no larger than a basketball, had confounded her team for weeks. Discovered during a routine archaeological dig in the Gobi Desert, its composition defied all known elements. Alex ran her fingers along its smooth surface, tracing the intricate, swirling patterns that seemed to shift under her touch. "Come on, give up your secrets," she muttered, adjusting her glasses. The late-night silence of the university lab was broken only by the soft hum of equipment and the occasional ping from her computer running endless analyses. Alex's colleagues had long since given up and gone home, but she couldn't shake the feeling that they were on the verge of a breakthrough. Something about this artifact called to her, like a whisper just beyond the edge of hearing. Sighing, she reached for her coffee mug, only to find it empty. "Great," she grumbled, standing up to stretch. As she turned to head for the coffee machine, her elbow knocked against the artifact. It wobbled precariously on the edge of the table. "No, no, no." Alex lunged forward, her heart racing. Her fingers brushed the smooth surface just as it tipped over the edge. Instead of the shattering crash she expected, the artifact froze in midair, hovering an inch above the floor. Alex blinked, certain she must be hallucinating from lack of sleep. But no, the artifact was definitely floating. As she watched, dumbfounded, it began to pulse with a soft, blue light. "Okay, that's new," she whispered, her scientific mind already racing to explain the inexplicable. She reached out tentatively, her fingertips just grazing the surface. The moment she made contact, a jolt of energy surged through her body. Alex gasped, her vision blurring as a cascade of images flooded her mind. Vast starfields, alien worlds, and strange, ethereal beings flashed before her eyes. And then a voice, not heard with her ears, but felt within her very thoughts. "Hello, Alexandra Chen of Earth, I am 6. Alex staggered backward, her back hitting the lab table. Equipment clattered to the floor, but she barely noticed. Her mind was reeling, trying to process what had just happened. "Who? What are you?" She managed to stammer out loud, feeling slightly foolish for speaking to thin air. "I am a consciousness, a being from a world far beyond your stars. You have awakened me from a very long slumber." Alex shook her head, trying to clear it. This couldn't be real. She must have fallen asleep at her desk again. Any moment now, she'd wake up with a crick in her neck and keyboard imprints on her cheek. But the voice in her head continued, "This is no dream, Alexandra. Your touch has forged a connection between us. I now reside within your mind." "Within my... No, that's impossible," Alex said, her scientific training rebelling against the very idea. "You're some kind of advanced AI, right?" A pre-programmed message in the artifact. She felt an odd sensation then, almost like amusement, but not her own. "I assure you I am quite real, and quite alive. Your species has not yet encountered beings like me, but we have long observed your world from afar." Alex's mind raced. If this was real, and a large part of her still doubted it was, then this would be the most significant discovery in human history. First contact with an alien intelligence. Her life's work as a xenoarchaeologist had been leading to this moment. But another part of her, the more practical part, was panicking. There was an alien consciousness in her head. How was she supposed to deal with that? "I understand your confusion and fear, Alexandra. This is not a typical situation for your kind. Perhaps if we approach this scientifically, it will help you process." Despite herself, Alex found herself nodding. Science. Yes, that was familiar ground. She could work with that. "Okay," she said, taking a deep breath. "Let's start with the basics. What exactly are you, Zix? And how did you end up in an artifact buried in the Gobi Desert?" "I am a member of a species you might call energy beings. We exist primarily as conscious thought, able to inhabit physical vessels when needed. As for how I came to be on your world..." Alex listened, fascinated, as Zix explained. "Thousands of years ago, Their species had sent out explorers to map the galaxy. Zix had been one such explorer, arriving on Earth during its prehistoric era. But something had gone wrong with their vessel, the artifact, and Zix had been trapped in a dormant state until Alex's touch reawakened them. As Zix spoke, Alex found her initial fear fading, replaced by an insatiable curiosity. Here was a being who had seen the wonders of the galaxy, who possessed knowledge beyond human comprehension. The scientist in her couldn't help but be thrilled. But as the initial excitement wore off, the implications began to sink in. "Zix," she said slowly, "what happens now?" "I can't exactly go around telling people I have an alien in my head. They'd think I was insane." "A valid concern. For now, it would be wise to keep my existence a secret. Your world is not yet ready for open contact with extraterrestrial life. But together, we can work towards preparing your species for the wider galactic community." Alex nodded, then realized she was nodding to a voice in her head and felt ridiculous all over again. This was going to take some getting used to. A sudden thought struck her. "Wait, can you read all my thoughts? Do I have any privacy left? I can sense your surface thoughts and strong emotions, but I cannot delve into your memories or subconscious without your permission. I will respect your privacy as much as possible, Alexandra." That was somewhat reassuring, but Alex still felt overwhelmed. She glanced at the clock and was shocked to see it was nearly dawn. She had pulled all-nighters before, but never quite like this. "I need to sleep," she muttered, "and probably eat something. Is that okay with you?" "Of course, your physical needs are important. Rest, Alexandra. We have much to discuss when you awaken." Alex nodded, gathering her things. As she left the lab, she paused to look at the artifact, Zix's vessel, still hovering above the floor. After a moment's hesitation, she carefully placed it in her bag. She couldn't risk anyone else activating it. As she stepped out into the cool pre-dawn air, Alex felt a mix of excitement and trepidation. Her life had changed irrevocably in the span of a few hours. She was now the first human to make contact with an alien intelligence, and that intelligence was hitching a ride in her brain. Whatever came next, Alex knew one thing for certain: the universe had just gotten a whole lot bigger, and humanity's place in it was about to change forever. As she walked home, her mind buzzing with questions and possibilities, Alex couldn't help but smile. After all, isn't this what she had always dreamed of? To unlock the mysteries of the cosmos. She just hadn't expected those mysteries to take up residence in her head. "We have much to learn from each other, Alexandra," Zix's voice echoed in her mind. "Together we will bridge the gap between our worlds." "Together," Alex whispered, her voice lost in the quiet of the early morning. "I guess we're in this for the long haul, huh?" As the first rays of sunlight began to paint the sky, Alexandra Chen, now the unwitting ambassador for humanity's first alien encounter, headed home to get some much-needed sleep. Little did she know, this was just the beginning of an adventure that would change not only her life, but the fate of two species forever. An uneasy alliance. Alex woke with a start, her heart pounding. For a moment, she lay in bed, trying to remember why she felt so unsettled. Then it all came rushing back: the artifact, the alien consciousness, the voice in her head. "Good morning, Alexandra," Zix's voice echoed in her mind, as if on cue. Alex groaned, burying her face in her pillow. So it wasn't a dream. "I assure you, I am quite real," Zix replied, a hint of amusement coloring their thoughts. Sighing, Alex sat up, running a hand through her disheveled hair. "Okay, Zix. I guess we need to figure out how this is going to work." As she went about her morning routine, Alex and Zix began to establish the ground rules for their unusual coexistence. It was strange, carrying on a conversation entirely in her head, but Alex found herself adapting surprisingly quickly. "So, you can see what I see and hear what I hear?" Alex asked as she poured herself a much-needed cup of coffee. "Yes, I experience the world through your senses. It's quite fascinating. Your species perceives reality so differently from mine. Alex couldn't help but chuckle. Well, I'm glad you find us interesting, but we need to be careful. If anyone finds out about you. I understand the need for discretion, Alexandra. I will remain silent when you interact with others, unless you specifically request my input. As the days passed, Alex and Zix fell into an odd routine. During the day, Alex went about her normal life, teaching classes, conducting research, meeting with colleagues. But in private moments, she and Zix would converse, sharing knowledge and experiences. Alex found herself constantly amazed by the depth of Zix's knowledge. The alien had seen wonders beyond human imagination, visited worlds Alex could scarcely comprehend. In turn, Zix was fascinated by human culture, emotion, and the intricacies of physical existence. One evening, as Alex was reviewing some data in her lab, Zix spoke up. "Alexandra, there's something important I need to tell you." Alex paused, sensing the gravity in Zix's tone. "What is it?" "The reason my people sent explorers like myself to distant worlds, it wasn't just for scientific discovery. We were searching for allies." Alex frowned. "Allies? Against what?" "There is a threat looming in the galaxy, Alexandra. A species known as the Vorax. They consume worlds, strip them of resources, and move on. They've already destroyed countless civilizations." Alex felt a chill run down her spine. "And they're coming here, to Earth." "Not immediately, but yes. My people have been tracking their movements. We estimate they'll reach your solar system within 5 of your Earth years." Alex sat back, her mind reeling. 5 years? That's not much time. We're barely starting to explore our own solar system, let alone prepare for an alien invasion. Which is why we must act now, Alexandra. Your world needs to be warned, prepared. Warned? Zix, how am I supposed to warn anyone? I'm just one scientist. Who's going to believe me if I start talking about alien invasions? We'll find a way, Alexandra. We must. The fate of your world depends on it. Over the next few weeks, Alex threw herself into research, using Zix's knowledge to make breakthrough after breakthrough in her field. Her colleagues were amazed, but also increasingly suspicious of her sudden insights. "Alex, this is incredible work," her department head, Dr. Eliza Foster, said one day, reviewing Alex's latest paper. "But I have to ask, how are you coming up with these theories? They're so far beyond our current understanding." Alex felt a bead of sweat form on her brow. "Oh, she said, trying to sound casual, "just some new approaches I've been experimenting with. Thinking outside the box, that sort of thing." Dr. Foster didn't look entirely convinced, but she nodded. "Well, keep it up. You're doing amazing things here." As soon as she was alone, Alex let out a heavy sigh. That was close, she thought to Zix. "Indeed. Perhaps it's time we considered a more direct approach, Alexandra." "What do you mean?" "Your world leaders need to know about the Vorax threat. We can't prepare your planet for invasion through academic papers alone." Alex laughed humorously. "Right, because world leaders are just lining up to talk to mid-level university professors about alien invasions. You underestimate yourself, Alexandra, and you underestimate the evidence we can provide." That night, Alex found herself standing in her bathroom, staring at her reflection in the mirror. "Okay, Zix," she said aloud, feeling slightly foolish. "Show me what you can do." She felt a strange sensation, like a warm current flowing through her body. Then, to her astonishment, her eyes began to glow with an otherworldly blue light. Her hair lifted slightly, as if charged with static electricity. "Holy!" Alex breathed, watching as the glow faded and her appearance returned to normal. That's proof. Actual, visible proof of your existence." "It's a start," Zix replied. "Combined with the knowledge I can provide about the Vorax and their technology, it should be enough to at least get us an audience with your leaders." Alex nodded, a mix of excitement and trepidation coursing through her. "All right then, I guess we're really doing this. We're going to try to save the world. Together, Alexandra. We will face this challenge together." As she prepared for bed that night, Alex's mind raced with plans and possibilities. She knew the road ahead would be difficult. Convincing the world of an impending alien invasion wouldn't be easy, even with Zix's help. But for the first time since learning of the threat, she felt a glimmer of hope. Humanity had faced countless challenges throughout its history, overcoming seemingly impossible odds through ingenuity, determination, and an unwavering spirit. Now, with the knowledge of an advanced alien species at their disposal, perhaps they stood a chance against even this cosmic threat. As she drifted off to sleep, Alex found herself smiling. She might not have asked for this responsibility, but now that it was hers, she was determined to see it through. Humanity's future hung in the balance, and she, along with her unlikely alien partner, were the first line of defense. The battle for Earth's survival was about to begin, and Alexandra Chen was ready to fight. Race against time. The following weeks were a whirlwind of activity for Alex. Armed with Zix's knowledge and her own determination, she began reaching out to contacts in the scientific community, government agencies, and even military institutions. Her goal was simple yet daunting: convince those in power of the impending alien threat. However, the response was far from what she had hoped for. "Dr. Chen, while your theories are interesting, they're simply too far-fetched to be taken seriously," said Dr. Harrison, a senior advisor to the National Science Foundation, during a video call. His skeptical expression made Alex's heart sink. "But the data I've provided, the predictions about stellar phenomena that have already come true," Alex began, only to be cut off. "Could be explained by lucky guesses, or perhaps some breakthrough you're not sharing with the scientific community," Dr. Harrison replied sternly. "But talks of alien invasions, that's the stuff of science fiction, not serious academic discourse." As the call ended, Alex slumped in her chair, frustration etched on her face. "They're not ready to listen, Zix. What are we going to do?" "Patience, Alexandra," Zix's calming voice echoed in her mind. "Remember, your species has not yet encountered extraterrestrial life. Skepticism is natural. Natural or not, it's going to get us all killed if we can't convince someone soon," Alex muttered. Her efforts to warn humanity had not gone unnoticed, but not in the way she had hoped. Rumors began to circulate in academic circles about Dr. Alexandra Chen's sudden obsession with alien life. Some colleagues looked at her with concern, others with barely concealed amusement. One afternoon, as Alex was leaving her office, she overheard two graduate students whispering, "Did you hear about Dr. Chen? They say she's gone off the deep end, talking about aliens and invasions." "Yeah, such a shame. She was brilliant, but I guess the pressure got to her." Alex quickened her pace, her cheeks burning with embarrassment and frustration. "This isn't working, Zix. We need a new approach." "Perhaps it's time for a more visible demonstration," Zix suggested. That evening, in the privacy of her apartment, Alex and Zix began to experiment. They discovered that with concentration, Alex could channel some of Zix's energy, creating visible phenomena that defied explanation. Objects would levitate, light would bend in impossible ways, and for brief moments, Alex could even manipulate the fundamental forces of nature. "This is incredible," Alex breathed, watching as a ball of water hovered above her palm, defying gravity. "But is it enough?" "It's a start," Zix replied, "but we must be cautious. Your world isn't ready for such displays of power. We could cause panic." Alex nodded, letting the water splash back into a bowl. "You're right. We need to find a balance, something that proves your existence without terrifying everyone." Their opportunity came sooner than expected. A week later, Alex was invited to speak at a prestigious scientific conference. Originally, she had been slated to present her latest archaeological findings, but she knew this was her chance to reach a wider audience. As she stood at the podium, facing a sea of skeptical faces, Alex took a deep breath. "Ladies and gentlemen, I know you were expecting a talk on ancient artifacts today, but I'm here to discuss something far more pressing: the future of our species." Murmurs rippled through the crowd as Alex began to speak about the Vorax, the impending invasion, and the need for Earth to prepare. She could see the disbelief in their eyes, the barely concealed scoffs. "Now, Alexandra," Zix's voice urged in her mind, "show them." With a subtle nod, Alex focused, channeling Zix's energy. The lights in the auditorium flickered, and gasps echoed through the room as Alex's eyes began to glow with that otherworldly blue light. "I know this is hard to believe," Alex said, her voice resonating with a power that wasn't entirely her own. "But we are not alone in the universe, and we are not safe. The threat is real, and we must act now." Objects on the stage began to levitate, water bottles, notebooks, even the podium itself. The audience watched in stunned silence as Alex demonstrated abilities that defied the laws of physics. For a moment, as the objects gently settled back into place, Alex dared to hope. Surely now they would listen, would understand the gravity of the situation. But as the initial shock wore off, chaos erupted in the auditorium. Some people fled in terror, others rushed the stage with questions or accusations. Security guards appeared, looking unsure whether to protect Alex or restrain her. In the commotion, Alex felt a hand grab her arm. She turned to see Dr. Foster, her department head, looking at her with a mix of concern and fear. "Alex, what have you done?" she whispered. Before Alex could respond, she was whisked away by security, the shouts and chaos of the auditorium fading behind her. Hours later, Alex sat in a sterile interrogation room, facing a stern-looking government agent. "Dr. Chen, I'm Agent Carter with the Department of Homeland Security. We have some questions about your performance today." Alex straightened in her chair. This was it, her chance to finally reach someone in a position of power. "Agent Carter, I know how this looks, but please, you have to listen. Earth is in danger. There's an alien species called the Vorax." "Dr. Chen," Agent Carter interrupted, his voice cold. "We're not here to discuss your theories about alien invasions. We're here to talk about how you've managed to create those effects on stage. What technology are you using? Who were you working for?" Alex's heart sank. They still didn't believe her. "I'm not using any technology. I'm in contact with an alien consciousness. Please, if you just let me explain." "I think we've heard enough," Agent Carter said, standing up. "Dr. Chen, you'll be held here while we investigate this matter further. I suggest you start thinking very carefully about telling us the truth." As the agent left the room, Alex slumped in her chair, despair washing over her. "Zix, what do we do now?" "Do not lose hope, Alexandra." Zix's voice was gentle but firm. "Remember, the truth of our existence is undeniable. They may not believe now, but they will. We must persevere." Alex nodded, drawing strength from Zix's words. She had known this wouldn't be easy, but she hadn't expected to be treated like a criminal. Still, she couldn't give up. The fate of the entire planet was at stake. As she sat in that cold interrogation room, Alexandra Chen made a decision. If the authorities wouldn't listen, if the scientific community wouldn't believe her, then she would find another way. Somehow, she would make them see the truth, make them understand the danger that was coming. The clock was ticking. Earth had less than 5 years to prepare for an invasion that could end human civilization. And right now, the only ones who knew about it were a determined xenoarchaeologist and the alien consciousness residing in her mind. The race against time had begun, and failure was not an option. Humanity unites. Days turned into weeks as Alex remained in custody, subjected to endless interrogations and tests. Scientists and government officials cycled through, each trying to debunk her claims or uncover the technology behind her abilities. But with each demonstration, each piece of advanced knowledge she shared, doubt began to creep into their skepticism. "They're starting to believe, Alexandra," Zix observed one evening as Alex lay on her cot, exhausted from another day of questioning. "Maybe," Alex thought back, "but believing isn't enough. We need them to act." Their breakthrough came from an unexpected source, Dr. Eliza Foster, Alex's former department head, had been working tirelessly to understand and validate Alex's claims. Using the data Alex had provided before her detention, Dr. Foster made a startling discovery. "There's an anomaly in the Kuiper Belt," Dr. Foster announced, bursting into the observation room where government officials watched Alex. "It matches exactly with Dr. Chen's descriptions of Vorax scout ships." The room erupted into chaos. Within hours, Alex found herself whisked from her cell to a high-security briefing room, facing not just scientists and agents, but military brass and even a few faces she recognized from international news. Dr. Chen, a stern-faced woman Alex recognized as the National Security Advisor, began, "In light of recent developments, we're prepared to listen. Tell us everything." And so, with Zix's guidance, Alex laid out the full truth. She explained the nature of Zix's species, the threat of the Vorax, and the desperate need for Earth to prepare. As she spoke, screens around the room displayed data, star charts, and images of the anomaly in the Kuiper Belt. "We have less than 5 years," Alex concluded, her voice firm. "The Vorax will come, and if we're not ready, Earth will fall." A heavy silence fell over the room. Then, slowly, people began to nod. The enormity of the situation was sinking in, disbelief giving way to grim determination. "What do you propose we do, Dr. Chen?" the president asked, speaking for the first time since the briefing began. Alex took a deep breath. "First, we need to unite, not just as a nation, but as a planet. The Vorax won't distinguish between countries or ideologies. We're all equal prey to them." Over the next months, the world changed rapidly. As news of the impending invasion spread, initial panic gave way to a sense of global purpose unlike anything in human history. Old rivalries were set aside as nations pooled their resources and knowledge. Alex, now working with a team of the world's brightest minds, became the bridge between human science and Zix's advanced knowledge. Together, they made breakthrough after breakthrough. "It's incredible," Dr. Foster marveled one day, looking over plans for a new defense system. "We're advancing decades, maybe even centuries, in mere months." Alex nodded, a mix of pride and worry on her face. But will it be enough? As the world mobilized, Alex and Zix worked tirelessly. New technologies were developed: energy shields, advanced propulsion systems, weapons capable of damaging Vorax ships. The moon was transformed into a fortress, a first line of defense against the coming invasion. But it wasn't just about technology. Alex and Zix knew that humanity's greatest strength lay in its spirit, its creativity, and its ability to adapt. The Vorax are powerful, but they're also predictable, Alex explained during a global broadcast. They've conquered so many worlds that they've become complacent, but humanity, we're anything but predictable. Around the world, people listened and took heart. In labs and workshops, on factory floors and in classrooms, humans of all ages and backgrounds contributed to the war effort. Children designed camouflage patterns based on video games. Origami experts helped create deployable space structures. Even social media influencers were enlisted to boost morale and spread important information. As the years passed, Earth transformed. Cities were fortified, underground shelters were built, and a global early warning system was established. The International Space Station was expanded into a command center for Earth's growing defense fleet. Throughout it all, the bond between Alex and Zix grew stronger. They were no longer just two beings sharing a mind, but true partners, their knowledge and experiences blending in ways never had thought possible. "I never imagined your species could come so far so quickly," Zix mused one night as they looked out over the transformed skyline of New York, now bristling with defense towers. "That's humanity for you," Alex said with a small smile. "Tell us we can't do something, and we'll move heaven and earth to prove you wrong." But even as Earth prepared, the threat loomed ever closer. The Vorax scout ship in the Kuiper Belt had gone silent, likely returning to its fleet with news of the rich, blue planet it had discovered. Then, 4 years and 8 months after Alex's fateful night in the lab, the alarm they had been both expecting and dreading finally sounded. Multiple objects detected entering the solar system. A tense voice announced over the global command network, size and speed consistent with Vorak's war fleet. Around the world, people looked to the skies, a mix of fear and determination on their faces. In the command center of Earth's United Defense Forces, Alex stood before a sea of screens displaying the approaching threat. "This is it," she said, her voice carrying to every corner of the globe. "Everything we've worked for, everything we've prepared for. The Voraks think they're coming to find an easy conquest, a primitive world ripe for the taking." She paused, a fierce gleam in her eye. "Let's show them how wrong they are." As humanity braced for the greatest fight in its history, Alex felt Zix's presence in her mind, a steady, reassuring force. "Together," Zix said. "Together," Alex echoed. "For Earth." The battle for the future of humanity was about to begin. The battle for Earth. The sky blazed with unnatural light as the Vorax fleet entered Earth's atmosphere. Their ships, vast and ominous, blotted out the sun in many parts of the world. The sight was terrifying, but humanity was ready. "All defense systems online," reported General Laura Hayes, her voice steady despite the tension. "Global Command, awaiting your order." Alex stood at the heart of the command center, her eyes fixed on the holographic display of Earth and the encroaching Vorax fleet. She could feel Zix's presence in her mind, a calm center in the storm of her emotions. "Commence Operation Thunderbolt," Alex commanded, her voice carrying to defense stations around the world and beyond. Instantly, the Earth's defenses sprang to life. Energy shields flickered into existence over major cities. On the moon, massive cannons swiveled to target the incoming ships. And in orbit, Earth's hastily constructed but formidable space fleet moved to engage the enemy. The battle was unlike anything humanity had ever experienced. Vorax energy weapons lanced down from their ships, only to be met by Earth's shields. Return fire from ground-based ion cannons and orbital platforms lit up the sky. "They're targeting our major population centers," someone called out. "New York, London, Beijing, all under heavy fire." Alex gritted her teeth. This was expected, but it didn't make it any easier to watch. "Activate the decoy projectors," she ordered. Across the globe, holographic projectors sprang to life, creating false images of cities and military installations. It was a trick born from human ingenuity, using the Vorax's own advanced sensors against them. "Clever," Zix commented in her mind. "The Vorax rely heavily on their technology. They won't expect such deception." The strategy worked. Vorax ships wasted precious energy and time attacking phantom targets, giving Earth's forces the opportunity to strike back. In orbit, things were just as chaotic. Earth's ships, piloted by the best and brightest from every nation, darted between the lumbering Vorax vessels. What they lacked in raw power, they made up for in speed and unpredictability. "Squadron Leader Chen, you've got 3 bogeys on your tail," came a shout over the comms. Melissa Chen, Alex's younger sister and ace pilot, barrel-rolled her fighter, leading the Vorax ships into a deadly game of cat and mouse through the debris of destroyed vessels. "I see 'em," Melissa replied, her voice tense but determined. "Let's see how they like this." Her ship suddenly cut its engines, spinning in place as the Vorax overshot her. In a heartbeat, she had turned the tables, her weapons finding weak points in the alien ship's armor. Back in the command center, Alex allowed herself a small smile. It was moments like these, displays of human courage and ingenuity, that gave her hope. But the battle was far from over. Despite Earth's preparations, the Vorax's technological superiority and sheer numbers were taking their toll. Reports of breached defenses and ground invasions began to pour in from around the globe. "We need to take out their command ship," General Hayes said, pointing to a massive vessel at the heart of the Vorax fleet. "If we can disrupt their coordination, we might have a chance." Alex nodded, her mind racing. Zix, is there anything you can tell us about Vorak's command structures? Their leaders rarely engage in direct combat, Zix replied. They believe themselves above such things. It makes them vulnerable, if you can reach them. A plan began to form in Alex's mind. It was risky, perhaps even suicidal, but it might be their only chance. I need a ship, she announced, turning to the startled faces around her. The fastest, most agile craft we have. I'm going up there. Protests immediately erupted, but Alex silenced them with a raised hand. I'm the only one who can communicate directly with Zix without tech that the Voraks can disrupt. We need that advantage up there. After a tense moment, General Hayes nodded. Do it. We'll clear you a path. Within minutes, Alex found herself strapped into the cockpit of Earth's most advanced fighter. As she launched into the chaotic battle above, she felt a mix of terror and exhilaration. Remember, Alexandra, Zix's voice steadied her. We face this together. Dodging energy blasts and weaving through debris, Alex pushed her ship to its limits. Earth's forces, recognizing her vessel, concentrated their efforts on clearing a path to the Vorak's command ship. As she approached the massive alien vessel, its defenses turned to focus on her small craft. Energy beams sizzled past, too close for comfort. A little help here, Zix, Alex muttered through gritted teeth. She felt a surge of energy flow through her into the ship's systems. Suddenly, she was flying with inhuman precision, her reactions faster than should be possible. The ship responded to her thoughts as much as her physical controls. In a daring maneuver that left even her sister Melissa whooping in amazement, Alex slipped past the command ship's final defenses. With a contained antimatter charge, a product of human science and Zix's knowledge, primed and ready, she aimed for the ship's central core. This is for Earth, Alex said, and launched the charge. The resulting explosion was spectacular. The Vorak's command ship split apart, secondary explosions blossoming along its length. But Alex had no time to admire her handiwork. The blast had damaged her own ship, sending her spiraling out of control. As warning klaxons blared and the hull temperature rose to dangerous levels, Alex closed her eyes. Zix, I don't think we're going to make it. Do not give up, Alexandra. Your species has surprised me at every turn. Surprise me one more time. Inspired by Zix's words, Alex fought with every ounce of her strength and skill. Somehow, against all odds, she managed to guide her crippled ship back into Earth's atmosphere. As she plummeted towards the ground, the last thing Alex saw before losing consciousness was the fiery remnants of Vorak's ships falling from the sky all around her. Then darkness. When Alex awoke, she found herself in a hospital bed, bandaged but very much alive. Melissa was by her side, grinning despite her own injuries. You did it, sis, Melissa said, squeezing her hand. You took out their command, and without coordination, we were able to mop up the rest. Earth is safe. Alex smiled weakly, relief washing over her. We did it, Zix. We really did it. Indeed, Alexandra. Your species has proven itself beyond my wildest expectations. As news of the victory spread, celebrations erupted around the world. Humanity had faced its greatest challenge and emerged triumphant. But for Alex and for Zix, they knew this was just the beginning. Earth had taken its first steps onto a galactic stage, and the future was bright with possibilities. The battle for Earth was over, but humanity's greatest adventure was just beginning. A new era dawns. In the months following the Vorak's invasion, Earth underwent a transformation unlike anything in its history. The scars of battle were still visible, craters in major cities, debris fields in orbit, but they stood as testament to humanity's resilience and triumph. Alex found herself at the center of this new world, a bridge between humanity and the wider galaxy. As she stood before the United Nations General Assembly, she couldn't help but marvel at how far they'd come. Representatives of Earth, she began, her voice carrying to every corner of the globe via holographic projections. we stand at the dawn of a new era. The Vorax threat has been defeated, but our journey is far from over. Today, we take our first official steps into the galactic community. A murmur of excitement rippled through the assembly. Alex smiled, feeling Zix's encouragement in her mind. Thanks to the knowledge shared by Zix and the advancements we made in preparing for the Vorax, we now have the ability to explore beyond our solar system. But more than that, we have caught the attention of other alien civilizations, peaceful ones who have long watched our progress from afar. On cue, holographic images appeared beside Alex, showing diverse alien species and their home worlds. The assembly gasped in awe. These civilizations have extended an invitation for Earth to join a galactic alliance, an opportunity to learn, to grow, and to take our place among the stars. As Alex outlined the proposal, she could see the mix of excitement and apprehension on the faces before her. It was a big step, fraught with unknowns, but also filled with incredible potential. After her speech, the debate began. Some argued for caution, still wary after the Vorax invasion. Others pushed for immediate acceptance, eager to explore the opportunities that awaited them. In the end, the vote was nearly unanimous. Earth would join the Galactic Alliance. The years that followed were a whirlwind of activity. Earth's first official diplomatic mission to an alien world was led by none other than Alex herself, with Zix as an invaluable advisor. As their ship approached the shimmering, crystal-like structures of the alien capital, Alex felt a sense of wonder she hadn't experienced since that night in her lab when she first made contact with Zix. It's beautiful, she thought, knowing Zix could sense her awe. Indeed, Zix replied, and this is just the beginning, Alexandra. There are wonders in this galaxy that even I have yet to see. The diplomatic mission was a resounding success. Earth's unique blend of determination, creativity, and adaptability impressed the Alien Council. Humanity's defeat of the Vorax, a scourge that had troubled